Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Yes, I forgot to film an intro, so we're looking at a black screen right now. And yes, I was too lazy to film one. But anyway, today we are doing a training video, and this is a voiceover, by the way, because I was not about to read, okay, oh my god, terrible intro. So today we are doing a training video, and I am going to be reading Wattpad Christmas stories. So this is probably going to get interesting, if you know what I mean. And this is a voiceover because I was not about to try and read a story whilst racing, because I just can't multitask like that. So without further ado, let's get into the stories. I'm so excited to be celebrating Christmas this year for the first time in our very own home, Jess says, smiling as she carries a large box through the lounge. I'll do anything I can to make it perfect for you. I know how much you enjoy the Christmas period, her long-term boyfriend Brian says as he finishes off straightening the branches of the tree and turns around taking the box from Jess's arms. It's just such a magical time of the year, Jess giggles as Brian quickly places the box on the ground and wraps his arms tightly around her body, sweeping Jess off her feet and swinging her gently around in the air. It's even more magical when you're around me, but do you really want me to help you decorate, or will you just complain about everything I do? Brian chuckles as he places her back to her feet. Yes, you're helping. There's no excuse. This is our tree. Jess leans down, grabbing a bunch of tinsel and throwing it at Brian. He kneels on the soft cream carpet and starts to place the tinsel carefully around the branches. Jess unpacks the baubles and begins to hook the rose gold and white baubles on the ends of the branches. So what's on your list this Christmas? Brian grins as he watches the happiness shine from his girlfriend as she joyfully places the decorations neatly and symmetrical to each other. That necklace we saw in the shop window was super cute, and then those shoes I told you would look beautiful along with the necklace. Also maybe a watch and some perfume. Just little bits, I hint to you. It's what I would like, she grins, leaning back, wrapping a piece of white tinsel around Brian's neck. He stands to tower over her with the tinsel still in Jess's grip. You don't want a lot, do you? He smirks as she tugs on the tinsel, grinning girlishly. I love you. I love you too, my angel, Brian whispers, dipping his head and placing his warm, soft lips against Jess's. Speaking of angels, I know you want to do the honors. He smiles, bending down and reaching for the glittery angel topper and holds it in front of him. We can place it on together, Jess says with enthusiasm, holding half of the angel in her hand. They both turn to face the freshly decorated and very glitzy Christmas tree, and standing on their tiptoes they reach up, placing the angel on the very top branch. Brian stands behind Jess with his hand snugly wrapped around her waist, and they take a step back to admire the tree. It's perfect, Jess says, interlocking her fingers with Brian's. Just like you then. We're going to have the best Christmas ever, he says, resting his chin against her shoulder as she leans back into his warm body, feeling happier than she could ever feel. No! Oh my god, I just read 2 stories! And it didn't even record! Are you kidding me? Oh my god. This story is called Where Are You Christmas? Cold air kisses my skin, leaving me feeling hollow within as I trudged through the quickly falling snow. The whole city was blanketed with the white fluff, and it felt like a dream walking through the park. It was hard to remember there was a time when Christmas didn't make me sad. I'd always loved it as a child, looking forward to wintry days full of hot cocoa, decorations, cheerful music, and gingerbread cookies. The only time of year I'd always said where people were kind-hearted to one another. The only time of year I'd always say where people. The only time of year I'd always said where people were kind-hearted to one another. And then she left. A sigh escaped my mouth as I pulled my coat tighter around myself, trying to conserve body heat in this frigid winter air. She had been the only one at times that I felt understood me in this world. I couldn't even count how many wonderful Christmases we'd shared, curled up in front of the television set with blankets, eating cookies, sharing stories and laughter abounding. Life was so much simpler then. I didn't have to pretend around her. Around her, I was just me. I guess I took that for granted, in a way. Took for granted how it felt to be so loved, so understood, so cared for. I thought it would last forever. Tears pricked my brown eyes and I sucked in a sharp breath of freezing air, pushing a lock of dark hair pushing a dark lock of dark hair behind my ear as my boots sunk deeper and deeper down into the snow with every step I took. This shouldn't be a time for tears, I reminded myself admonishingly. I can't say it. Admonishingly. You should be happy, like everyone else. But how could I be? Everything around me reminded me of her. Her laugh, her smile, the way her arms felt around me, so secure and warm, like nothing on this earth could harm me. As I kept up a steady pace in the snow, I could hear the city start to come alive around me. The faint jingle of bells on a glass door of a shop, the barking of a dog, people chattering happily to one another on the sidewalk, and lastly, the sound of a Christmas song that still haunted me with memories that left me with an overwhelming sense of bittersweet sorrow. And when those blue snowflakes start falling, that's when those blue memories start calling, Elvis sang out from a small shop down the street, making my throat ache with unshed tears. You'll be doing all right with your Christmas of white, but I'll have a blue, 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 blue Christmas. I hurried past the store, resisting the urge to cover my ears as I quickly made my way down the sidewalk and away from the melancholy music. People surged past me on either side, on their own destinations for the day, most of them I assumed shopping for presents for their loved ones. There were so many things I saw around me I would have loved to buy for her. Shoving my hands in my pockets to keep them warm, I turned the corner onto 5th Street. The large stones all lined up loomed before me in the distance, and although the familiar ache began in my chest at seeing them, it also brought me a sense of peace, knowing we would soon be reunited. Snow was falling faster by now, tiny white flakes sticking in my dark swath of hair that cascaded down my back as I crossed the street. I weaved around the stones, careful to step around them as I trudged on. Nearly there. The thorns on the single red rose I held in my hand cut deeply, leaving small droplets of crimson to trail down my fingers, but I barely felt it as I pushed myself onward and finally I had arrived. Coming up short, my breath exhaled out of my mouth in a cloud of hot air visibly mixing with the cooler temperatures outside. The tears pricked my eyes as my gaze scanned the letters written for all to see. I let out a choked, humorless laugh at that moment before mumbling to myself distractedly, "Really sinks in when you see it written in stone." I rolled the stem of the flower between my fingers absent-mindedly, all the while gathering more cuts that again I didn't really feel. It seems that my skin had become as numb as my heart these days. Tears had already begun to roll down my cheeks, but I blinked the rest away before clearing my throat. "It's been 2 years now, you know. Doesn't feel like that way," I spoke aloud, shaking my head in disbelief. Feels like yesterday that you were here with me." Taking a shaky breath, I wiped the quickly falling tears away with my fingertips. "Oh, you would have loved the Christmas lights they've put up in town this year. It's so pretty. They're all hanging overhead, over the streets. I know you would have liked that." The silence was deafening around me. I could imagine the stares I was getting from the passerby, but for once in my life, I didn't care if people stared at me or not. I wasn't there for them. I was there for her. "I'll be getting my driver's license next year. I know you were excited about that," and I paused a moment, gathering a breath before continuing. "My life's just really good right now. I'm in a good place for the first time in a long time, but I still miss you. I'll always miss you. Forever I'll always—" I choked off then, a hiccuping sob bubbling up from my throat, even though I had tried so hard not to break down. Tears tracked down my face, and this time I didn't bother to brush them away. Snowflakes fell quietly, embedding themselves in my hair, on my coat, even on the stones all around me. But all I could feel was my own heart breaking in my chest. Would I ever love Christmas again? Could I ever begin to believe in the true meaning of it once more? All of a sudden, I felt one of the small flakes land on the tiny cuts of my hand. I hissed at the sensation, clutching my hand and bringing it palm upward to see it more clearly. Lying there nestled in the wounds was a single infinitesimal, I don't know what that word means, snowflake. It was so tiny, it was barely even visible. I probably wouldn't have noticed it had it not cooled down the burn of my cut, making the stinging that had been there previously ebb away. Maybe you'd say I was crazy or childish even for the thought that came to me next. Maybe you'd say it was impossible to begin to believe in something from just gazing at a little snowflake in your palm. But as the cool winter air kissed the skin of my cut, subsiding the pain, I began to hope. No, I began to believe. Believe that one day the pain in my heart would disappear. Maybe not forever, maybe not eternally, but that one day it would disappear and my heart could be at peace. After all, peace, hope, the belief in brighter future for the coming year. Wasn't that what Christmas was all about? And as I glanced up, my dark eyes meeting that of the grey marble headstone belonging to my grandmother, I knew I'd found the meaning of Christmas once more. The end. God damn it, this was meant to be a funny video. Why is that so serious? Oh my god. This is called Christmas Kisses. Massey Lou's eyes lingered on the last name on the chart, Ian Barton. The 6-year-old from Dustybrook had a broken bone. Flashes of other kids with broken bones, some of them barely potty trained, paraded across her mind. It seemed like children are reckless during the Christmas season. With a sigh, Massey entered the room to find the boy perched on the edge of the exam table, his little face lined with pain as he held his right arm in a sling close to his chest. A man stood to the side, murmuring soothing words to the little boy. The man glanced up when she walked in, worry etched into his face. The man looked familiar, but she didn't know how she knew his face, and holy heck, he was frowning at her. She stared at him, eyebrows arched. The man winked at her then. His face evolved into an unreadable expression. Massey shook her head, then turned towards Ian. "Hi, little man, I'm Dr. Lou," she said, smiling at the child. "I will fix you up, and you will tell me how you broke your arm, okay?" The child's lower lip trembled, and he nodded. It was late and the end of her shift. She had the weekend off. Massey blew out a tired breath and gathered her things to leave. She glanced up when someone knocked on the door. "Dr. Lou?" "Yes, come in," she answered. "It's me, Ian's uncle. I'm just here to say thanks for what you've done for my nephew." She waved a hand in the air as she took in the man's appearance. He looked so familiar. "No need to thank me, it's okay," she said. She watched as his muscles flexed under his button-down shirt when he shoved his hands into his pockets. He smiled, his golden brown eyes crinkling at the corners. It lit up his whole face, making him even more handsome. She responded with a smile of her own. "You don't remember me, do you?" he asked. She froze. Think. She didn't know how to answer the question. Your face looks familiar, but I can't figure out why is that," she managed. A huge grin appeared on his face and he moved closer. Her heartbeat picked up a notch. His golden gaze homed in on her. Little Miss Shorty Pants doesn't even recognize her childhood best friend. "Oh my god, Sean, is that you?" she asked, her voice shaking. "The one and only," he said, his grin widening. His rich, deep-toned voice washed over her. She blinked and pressed both of her arms on her chest. She focused on his features, looking for anything that would confirm he was her once childhood friend and the first guy she ever kissed. Her eyes landed on the small white scar above his eyes. How could she not recognize him? All that scar! Her throat clogged up and she was moving without thinking. She flung herself into his arms. "Oh, Sean, where have you been all these years?" Her voice broke and tears overflowed her eyes. Sean closed his eyes and welcomed the warmth of Massey, his shorty pants against his body. Oh, how he missed her, missed everything they'd shared. My family and I moved back to Dusty Brook 2 days ago. Christmas in this town was always fun when I had my shorty pants with me to wreak havoc, he chuckled. How long it's been? 10 years now since we left? I didn't even know you still lived in this little old town. He pulled away to look into her face. She turned away and went back to stand near her desk. Yes, every single day. So tell me, Massey Cassie. No, wait. Let me take you out to a nice little Christmas dinner. We could talk about everything that happened in our lives over the last decade. What do you say to that? Oh Lord, this was the man who had stolen her heart all those years ago. Now he's back, wanting to take her out. That was all she ever dreamed about when she hit puberty. Now she was 26 and still, he held her heart. Oh, how she had loved him with everything in her. Then he moved away to England with his family. It devastated Massey. They'd both agreed not to have a long-distance relationship. His family claimed they would never set foot back in Dusty Brook ever again, but here they were, back in town. Her heart returned. Sean had returned. She cleared her throat. I would love that, she said. Let me get my things. Okay, Sean answered, images flashing through his mind of what he wanted to do with her. He'd never gotten the chance to tell her he loved her all those years ago. This was his chance, and he would not mess it up. He watched her while she gathered her things, her short curly hair bobbing against her slender neck, the same neck he wanted to lather his kisses on. His Christmas kisses. He knew just where to kiss her to make her lose control. Sean knew how to make love with her, so she forgot all her responsibilities. He shook his head to get rid of his wayward thoughts. You ready to go? He asked. Yes, Massey whispered. She knew as soon as she stepped through that door, it would change her life forever. They held hands as she led her to the front door. I really enjoyed tonight, she told him softly. Me too, Sean replied. It's still hard to believe you've only been in one relationship. Well, you have sure been in a lot to last a lifetime, Massey teased. He laughed. Those were empty relationships. Sean! She shoved at his shoulder. She froze when he stopped and gazed into her face. But I know this one I'm about to be in will be different. What? Sean stepped closer, so she pressed her back against the door. He only had to lean in a few more spaces to close the distance between them, to press his body against hers, to show her he wanted her. Massey drew in a breath at his nearness. Suddenly, she had an image of their naked bodies intertwined running through her mind. Oh God, her body felt warm. Her body tingled in places she didn't know could tingle. His voice was husky with desire when he challenged. Do you want me to lay these Christmas kisses on you? Massey couldn't help it. She burst into a fit of hysterical giggles. Between bouts of laughter she said, You know I would love that. Sean captured her lips in a hungry kiss, cutting off whatever she was about to say. Massey held on for dear life as Sean kissed the hell out of her. He removed his mouth from hers and said, Get that door open so I can make love to this sweet body of yours. He ran his hands He ran his hands over her body and grabbed her as she fumbled to get the door open. After they were both blissfully satisfied and her head was resting the crook of his neck, Massey told him how she felt. I love you, Sean Barton. I love you with my whole heart, she whispered. He held her close and said, I love you more, my shorty pants. He laid a kiss on her forehead. Her heart turned over at his words and butterflies erupted in her stomach. She must have dozed off because she woke to Sean shaking her. What do you think of a Christmas wedding? He asked. I will call my parents. Before she could answer, he had already leapt off the bed. Sean! You should call your parents too, he said, placing his phone to his ears. Sean, what? Yes, baby, I love you too, he said, then sped from the room. Massey's mouth dropped open. Dear God, was she dreaming? Hell no. Her heart screamed, giddiness coursed through her. A smile she could not prevent and didn't want to spread across her face. Thank you, Santa Claus, for returning my heart. The end. Now that one was more juicy. And I must say that my reaction to reading it the first time was a lot funnier than that, but I lost it. But I still could not handle reading that. That was so awkward. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and tell me in the comments if you liked it. I tried to include a few different types of stories there. So the first one was, you know, pretty average Wattpad book, you know. The second one was literally super depressing and very serious. And then that last one was what you expect in Wattpad, except, you know, that one was actually kind of not M-rated, you know, or 18 plus. I'm not... Yeah, so if you guys want me to do this again, you know, even just reading other ones, then I will do that because it was very fun, very awkward but very fun. So I hope you guys are having an awesome day or have had an awesome day, and I will see you guys in my next video. And remember guys, to stay simply Amosawa. Bye guys.
What else do we want to say? We hope Santa's good to you. Does Santa still come to people? Are we too old for that? Yeah. We're too old. Shh. Anyway. They don't know. It's been a lovely year.
Yeah, we're gonna do these now.